Hey Jose, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. I decided to start the YouTube live stream early today. Let's see if that gets us a few more views on YouTube.
Hey, Patrick? Patrick?
Yeah.
It doesn't show my look. Anyway, is there any word on that LA City Google ID?
Google ID?
Yeah, just we have to prove that we've been vaccinated.
Oh, the official word is standby on that.
Oh, okay.
I haven't even tried. I'll just let them figure out the bugs. But it's
Well, they're
it
supposed
is
to send,
affecting LAFD as well as LAFD volunteers. So
they're supposed to give us a Google it looks like a Google email address, but it isn't. And that's how we log in to set it up.
the thing is that the LA City email is backed by Google. So their lacity.org email addresses are Google email addresses.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the confusion is.
Oh,
So
okay.
you're expected to use your LA City email address as login, but we don't have LA City email
Right.
addresses because we're volunteers.
All right, so nobody responded when I wrote the office, so I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah. Like I said, just stand by. Just wait till they figure out the bugs.
Yeah, all right, no hurry then.
How's Australia? You're muted.
Hear me now?
Yes, we can.
I was gonna say, we're just starting summertime.
How hot does it get out there?
Today it's 75 degrees right now. It's been around 60, but 75 today with rain. Sorry about that. Can't share it with you. Lots of rain. It's a little too easy and too good, but who am I to complain?
So you're not complaining getting exiled in Australia?
Well, they canceled my flight a week before I was to go. So they are starting up return flights.
You're doing kind of an assessment,
But I'm thinking of coming back later, about March of next year. Let's see now.
It'd be good to have you back.
Oh, thanks.
Hi,
I
Judy.
like the background.
Is that the beach?
Yeah, the beach in the Adelaide area.
Hmm.
And if you look at the stones, it's a huge stone. It looks small in the picture, but it's very sacred to the Aboriginals.
Hmm.
So I've got the Sydney Harbor Bridge, but somehow I thought I imported it, but it didn't. So I have to figure it out. But this is actually more interesting.
Is that a stromatolite? The stones?
I don't know what the name is. It's a huge rock in the sand. Oh, look at that. You've got penguins behind you. That's really nice.
Keeps me cool on the hot summer days.
Yeah, well,
Which should start cooling off in LA the next few days.
That's the theory.
And I think it heats up again on Sunday.
Yeah,
any chance of rain?
Not that I've heard.
no.
Hmm.
Even Mammoth they're making snow finally again, but they're pretty bare, unfortunately.
No, it's 2 years of drought. You know, it's my fault because I left all sorts of chaos has come to the US. So
Then you better come back soon.
Yeah, because you guys, I mean, it's crazy. People don't want to be vaccinated for freedom, even though it means spreading the virus. You know, I can't comprehend.
Well, it's it's worse than that. It's not just spreading. It's the mutations.
Yeah, exactly. Delta plus is floating around.
Just trying to figure out when I'm going to go get my booster. Was thinking about Friday, but I think my boss got his booster over the weekend, was out sick on Monday. So I need to talk to him and find out what he got. And because I think he got both the flu and the booster, and I was planning the same thing. So
People are doing that. Yeah, they're getting about they're being told that do them both at the same time, no problem. And it's true, health-wise, it's no problem. But you do react. We got our boosters a couple of weeks ago, and that it was just like 25% worse than the second shot. So, you know, and that wasn't much for us. We didn't really react that much, but some people, they need to listen.
I didn't have
Everybody
really
should
any
get
side
the
effects.
flu shot. Everybody should get their flu shot. Get, because that's going to be the next problem. With this
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Patrick.
Hi, David.
How you doing? Nice to see you. Thank you for the invitation. Hope everybody's okay. I made it.
Well, I'm glad you made it. Hopefully, the login process wasn't too confusing this time. I know last week we had some issues with it.
It was weird this time. An additional window popped up where you had to fill in your name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that
Yeah.
too.
That was weird.
Yeah.
This is Marilyn. I got my booster and I had no problems with it on October 15th.
Oh, that's
Or
good.
Good for
any
you,
of my
woman.
shots or the flu shot.
Good.
There we go.
That's good. I don't know if I'm gonna do it this Friday. I might wait a week. Just but I'm gonna go see Ghostbusters Friday night, and I don't want to be
Aw,
have the slight chance of deciding to be bedridden for a day or two. And then there's I missed the parking lot sale for LA Police gear on last weekend, and they have another one on at the Ontario store this Saturday. So I think I'll hit that one up and see if I can pick up some cheap, lightly used and return gear. Though not like I need to buy anything really.
Which booster are you getting, Patrick?
I'll get the Pfizer.
Okay,
That's what I have. Even though you can cross.
Pfizer, I didn't have any trouble with Pfizer.
I got my tetanus shot the same time I got my flu shot, and it actually hurt worse than the rest of them.
oh,
Well, tetanus, I heard is pretty painful, generally,
What's that, tetanus?
isn't it?
the treatment is painful. That's no joke.
Yeah,
But
the shot was combined with
It is.
the whooping cough, so I don't know which one of it.
What, you had a sore arm? Is that the deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a sore arm with the booster too. But I mean, it only lasts a day or two. No.
Yeah, I had the flu shot in one arm and the tetanus whooping cough in the other.
No. Then you don't know which side to sleep on. See?
Exactly. I
No,
woke up
no.
the next day going, why does my arm? Oh,
No.
Waiting for Tom to join. He's the one who's going to be presenting tonight.
Oh, That's a deal breaker.
What?
Oh, we have a lot of people.
No, a
today.
good thing, you know. He's not here though, it's a problem.
Yes, yes. He does have to actually join for this to get going. Yeah, I know he was stuck in traffic about half an hour ago, so hopefully
He's on right now.
There he is.
Is he?
Hello, Patrick.
Yeah,
Can
he's
you hear
on.
me, Patrick?
He's
Yeah.
muted right now.
I see Tom. All right.
Hi, Jose.
Hi, Judy. How are you doing?
Good. Good. All's well.
Hi. Hi, Bob.
Hey,
Hi,
Carolyn.
Carolyn.
Hey, Carolyn.
How's everybody?
Good, good. How about you?
You're muted, Tom.
I'm doing fine.
Hello, Tom. How are you? This is David.
Hello.
David.
Glad to see you.
Hello, Patrick. Can you
When
hear me?
everything kind of goes wrong,
Hey, there he is, the big man.
Yeah, I can hear you, Johnny.
Thank you very much.
All right. So we'll give everybody just a couple more minutes to get in. Hopefully the login process was easier this time. Eventbrite changed how they do Zoom integration. And early on, a year ago, they had some major issues where you actually had to log into Eventbrite. You had to have an Eventbrite account just to get to the Zoom page, and it was very problematic. And we decided to skip the whole process. Then we turned it on and last week, and everyone came in as anonymous. So that was problematic. So last week we had an issue where you actually had to sign up for Zoom, a Zoom account. And that confused some people. So hopefully this process, you just have to get an extra registration page where you're now prompted to put your first, last name and email address for Zoom. And then it actually comes into the Zoom. If you have an actual account with Zoom already, you're logged into the app, then it just launches without issues. So hopefully that is less painful than any of the alternatives.
Can I ask you something about the registration process?
Yeah.
When somebody signs up for NTP, you know, say they sign up yesterday at 4:00 in the afternoon, does that process pretty quickly, or is there somebody that's looking at that? And I'm asking because I'm wondering about getting the reminders, because I know in order to get the reminders, we need to have signed up for NTP, right?
So the join.ntp.org website, that is a manual process. I personally review and then process them. If you register with Eventbrite for one of our trainings, then that is an automatic process. And emails do go out 2 days, 2 hours, and 30 minutes before the event starts.
You know, it's funny, the link that I got, at least I'm pretty sure this is what happened on the reminder, the last reminder I got for tonight's meeting, I clicked it and it asked me to register,
Mhm.
but I already had.
Yes, so that's what I was
Yeah.
talking about. It's if you don't have that registration stage and you click through Eventbrite, it brings you in as anonymous. So that extra step is for Zoom to make sure that you're actually showing up correctly with your first and last name, which most people seem to be. I don't see anyone named anonymous.
To register twice?
It's just for Zoom itself. It transfers that to Zoom when it launches.
Okay, thanks.
What happened to me was I first clicked on join the event,
Mhm.
and that took me to a page where it was giving me tutorials on how to do something or other. And I just thought, this is not like it was last week where I was trying to register for Zoom, but didn't do it. But anyway, and so then I went back to the invitation and just went down to the Zoom link,
Mhm.
copied that, pasted it in, and it took me through without having to register for a Zoom account or anything. So that was easy.
Yeah, I think if you, with the link in the email, if you scroll down on the email and click the link and you already have Zoom installed, it just launches. If you don't have Zoom running signed in, then it prompts you to register just for the event, and then it will launch. If you click the top link in the Eventbrite email, it takes you to an Eventbrite page, launch page, and you then can click to launch the event, which then will take you to the Zoom registration. And if we didn't have that stage enabled, it passes you through as anonymous.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
not good.
All right. I think it's 7:07. We'll go ahead and get started. Tom? You ready to go?
Okay.
I'll
Let me
introduce
see. I'll
I'll
hit the-
introduce everybody, and then I'll introduce you. So thank you everybody for coming. My name is Patrick Botts Forbes. I am the LAFD CERT Central Bureau Coordinator. This is our third Wednesday of the month continuing education training. These trainings range in topics from beginner to intermediate to advanced. Sometimes we'll be doing a refresher on topics that are taught in the Community Emergency Response Team training. And all of these trainings are open to everybody. They are designed to be approachable for the people who have not taken the training yet. And also they are, we teach intermediate and advanced topics to push the basic training to new levels so that the more experienced people can actually learn something instead of revisiting ABCs out of the book every single month. Next month, the topic will be on triage, and we have one of our other battalion coordinators, Battalion 5 coordinator, Jackie Kozak, thank you, who will be presenting in December. And then next year we start over and we'll hopefully have more involvement from our talented CERT coordinators. Tonight's topic is on hazardous material awareness. Our Battalion 2 coordinator, Tom Worth, is presenting, and I'll let Tom introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Tom Worth. Can you see my screen saying hazmat, what a CERT responder should know?
You haven't shared yet.
We're looking at you.
Okay, that's what I don't want. So can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm trying to share.
Yes. Okay.
Fantastic.
I'm going to mute everybody. Tom, when I mute everybody, it will mute you as well. I would ask that everybody stays
Okay.
muted until they have any questions. So hold on. Tom, when I mute everybody, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Oh, there's a button. Yay. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Fantastic. So I'm the Battalion 2 coordinator for Los Angeles Fire Department's CERT community emergency teams. Patrick and I have been working together for 7 or 8 years. At LAX, I am a hazardous cargo coordinator for Customs and Border Protection. I've taught first responder awareness level hazmat for about 5 years. Okay, the topics we're going to review in chapter 6 under fire safety, they have about 5 slides on hazmat. I've incorporated those slides plus other things, as in the Department of Transportation's ERG. We're going to go over that. We're going to go over more on identifying the hazmat that you could possibly come across. And then we're going to discuss, and I hope we get a group participation, what hazardous materials are in your area, because dry cleaners have a lot of hazardous.
Hey, Tom, your audio is really
Okay.
breaking up. Can you turn your video off? That might help you a little bit.
Patrick, turn what off?
Turn your video off. That might help you.
You're broken up.
It,
Did I turn the video on?
yeah, your video's off now.
Yeah, okay. I'm not great at this. So this is one of the slides from the chapter 6. What are search priorities? Rescue safety is number 1. We don't bring victims to an incident. You always work with buddies. So buddy team is a very important part of the priorities. Always wear safety equipment, and we'll get into PPE later on. And Patrick modified our CERT goal to being the greatest good for the greatest number in the shortest amount of time. Because when you're dealing with hazmat, seconds could make the difference between you surviving or becoming a victim. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So, CERT size up. This was actually out of chapter 7, but I like going over what is a size up. What, because you're determining the facts. What's going on? You've just seen 3 people fall down at the same time. Your assessment, heart attacks aren't contagious. This is probably a hazardous material activity, or somebody shot a magic bullet that went through 3 people. You consider your possibilities. You're doing this in fractions of seconds. Consider possibilities. This is a hazmat incident. I need to get my distance. Assess your situation. There in front of me, I'm going to turn around and go back. You make your decision. You develop your plan, you take action, and then you evaluate your process. Evaluating process with hazmat is if you do the 300 yards and you're still getting the effects, you go another 300 yards. Because the distance from the hazmat is our goal in an incident. Okay, to me, this is the most important slide in the presentation. This is what we really should do. Okay, search role in a hazmat incident. Immediately get the safe distance from the incident. I'm going to repeat that over and over again. Get a safe distance. In the past, we used the rule of thumb, and that's where some firefighters said if you put your thumb up and it doesn't cover the incident, you're too close. There are some incidents where even the rule of thumb, you're still too close. You'll identify the hazmat. You can use the ERG, you can use the placards on the vehicle, or you may have knowledge about what the material is. You notify emergency responders, call 911. In all incidents, call 911. Let the professionals show up so we could possibly assist, but let them show up and do the job. You want to keep others from becoming victims. So you're going to secure your area. You're going to sit there and go, no, don't run over there, because our natural response is to run and save our buddy, but you'll become the next victim. You have to wait till advanced responders show up with a proper PPE and they'll save our buddies. And if possibly, you can assist with evacuations if that's necessary. As you can do a verbal evacuation, come to my voice, because you're not going to the victims. Hazardous materials are throughout our community. Have hazmat. When I took hazmat training, they told us one of the scariest vehicles on the highway is, oh, I'm unstable. One of the hazardous vehicles on the freeway is a Walmart truck. A Walmart truck could have propane, plastic chairs, all kinds of materials that they caught on fire would be nasty because there's multiple different hazmats, not just one. Okay. This is a slide from the book. Hazardous materials are things that could corrode, things that explode or ignite, react with water, unstable when exposed to heat or shock, or otherwise toxic to humans, animals, or the environment. You have 4 routes that hazmat's going to get to you: through absorption, inhalation, injection, and ingestion. So our hazmat responders wear suits that have controlled breathing apparatus that are made out of a thicker material where they're not going to be injected. Again, their mouth's covered because they're using extra air, so they're not going to ingest it. So they wear these things. I've listed here your 9 DOT hazmat classes. We'll be going over that later, but this gives you an idea. Explosives, gas, flammable liquids, flammable solids, oxidizers, toxins, radioactive, corrosives, and miscellaneous. So if you see a placard with a 1, that would be considered an explosive. And again, we'll get into placards in a little while. Okay. There are 4 levels of hazmat response. The awareness level is responders at the awareness level are kind of what CERTs would do. We'd respond at the awareness level. We're expected to recognize that there is a hazardous material, protect ourselves, call for trained personnel, and secure the area to the best of our abilities. That's protect yourself, protect others around you. Operational level. When I took hazmat training back in 2012, they pretty much said we do the same thing as awareness level, but we dike, dam, and divert. That's the only difference. And that means not the incident, but where it's flowing downhill, downwind, we try to move it into a safer direction. Where our firefighters are the technical level. They have the PPE to respond, the training to respond, and the duty to respond. So responders at technical level take offensive action in responding to the release or potential. Oh, that's fine. So they have a responsibility to the release and potential release of the hazmat. They're the ones who are actually going to stop the leak, whether it's a gas tanker and they have to close off the leak by, whether they have to close up the leak by putting a plug in, something to that level. An even higher level is the specialist level. And the specialist level could do the position of a technician or work with the incident commander as a subject matter expert. Am I doing okay, Patrick?
You're good.
Okay, I just felt like I was rushing and I need to slow down.
There is a hand up
Okay.
for Martin Rumpf if you want to ask his question.
Well, let's go. What's up with Martin? I don't see this. Somehow
Tom,
I lost that.
Tom,
Yes.
this is Martin. I was just going to add on your bullet point, get to a safe distance. I was just going to bring in, when you're getting to a safe distance, you want to make sure that you're going upwind from the incident. You won't
We have a
know
slide that'll address that.
Pardon me?
We have a slide that will address that.
Okay.
Okay. One of the ways we can identify hazmat is stored hazmat. When you go to a structure, you'll see a National Fire Protective Association 704 diamond. They're all over the place. And the 704 diamond is on a structure. It lets firefighters know the level of risk when they enter the structure if that material's on fire. So the diamond is divided into 4 color quadrants, each with a rating number, and that the number indicates the degree of risk associated with the number. The higher the number, the higher the risk. Okay, the red quadrant. The red quadrant covers flammability. So a 1, if it preheats, it burns. Ambient heat, and then 4 is just flammable gases. It's the likelihood it's going to catch on fire is the number. So again, one's not so bad, 4 is at the worst. The blue quadrant. This is the health hazard. And again, they made it slight hazard, moderate hazard, serious hazard, severe hazard. So that's pretty simple. You've got the blue quadrant. The yellow quadrant indicates reactivity. Unstable, if heated, requires elevated temperature and pressure, requires strong initiating force, explosive at ambient conditions. Ambient conditions is room temperature. So again, the higher the number, the more dangerous it is. The white quadrant gets interesting. So you got the W with a slash through it. That in that structure has materials that if you put water on it, it will react, whether it explodes or causes some other thing. Magnesium is a perfect example. You put water on magnesium, it'll create either an explosion or reaction. Oxidizers, those are nasty stuff. When it comes to hazmat, oxidizers and corrosives are some of our worst. And then acid, alkalines, corrosives, and radiological material. So the white has a symbol rather than a number. And as we all know, with CERT, if it's higher than 1, we don't go into that structure. Hey, the number within the 704 diamond is for professional firefighter use only. CERT volunteers should consider a placard with a rating above 1 as a stop sign. The only action volunteers should take is to verbally instruct occupants to evacuate uphill and upwind from away from the material, and we want to be uphill, upwind.
I'm sorry, but there's a lot of breakup.
I apologize.
Please repeat that.
Did you want to go back? Did you want to go back through the 704 diamond or discuss that a 1 is a stop sign?
It just broke up badly on the white.
Okay. Let's go over the white.
It was this
what we
slide.
classic.
Sometimes it helps if everybody turns off their video, if anybody else is on.
Okay. I'm not sophisticated with Zoom. But the W slash lets firefighters know that they can't put water on it. They have to have another source of putting out the material. In Battalion 2, we have an artist colony, and they have an A. Artists live with welding material and all kinds of nasty stuff. So this is people who are living around hazmat. And that's another one that isn't on here, but our complex over in Lincoln Heights actually has an A on their 704 diamond. Everybody hearing this?
Mm-hmm.
Better, thank you.
I'll take that. We have a stop sign. CERT always sides on a safety. We don't want our volunteers. Now, again, when you see a Walmart, it has a 4 because that's because they have propane. You go there and shop. But in an incident, a 1 is a stop sign for us. We'll consider those materials inside beyond our skill set. The global harmonized system is OSHA's attempt to make our safety data sheets more like Europe. In Europe, a safety data sheet is put out by the chemical company that makes that chemical. It's got these graphics in it to make it easier. My personal favorite part about the global harmonized system is it organized SDSs. So doesn't matter what chemical company, number 1 will be the material. And then number 7 could be the first aid for that material. And number 9 could be proper ways of transporting that material. But a safety data sheet, if you see it, it's in a yellow binder, usually in the employee area. They're not out for the public. But this is another source of information about what could be in that location. This is the rest of the conversation is going to be on the Department of Transportation Emergency Response Handbook. So the ERG is put out by the Department of Transportation, and it's meant for first responders in the first half an hour of a leak, of an incident. You've got the white pages. That's placards, rail, trailer IDs. It's general information. The yellow border, if you have the UNNA, which is the hazmat number that's on the placard, you go to the yellow pages and it will find the guide number for that material. Again, our goal is to find the orange page. When you find the orange page, that's the information we need to know on how to deal with this material. The blue page is if you have the shipping name number. So let's go back to yellow page. Gasoline is 2103. So if you know 2103, you find the guide page, and that'll get you to the orange page. The book is orange. Your goal is to find the orange page that'll tell you what you need to know. The green page, some of the items in the ERG are highlighted in green. That is the super nasty stuff. That's the stuff where they're going to evacuate neighborhoods if this leaks. So the green page covers isolation areas, evacuation zones, and interestingly enough, a material during the daylight will travel not as far as a material at night. A material at night has the air pushing down, pressure down, and that'll stay low and go a farther distance. Okay. So something I wasn't able to do because I had troubles getting onto this. On Facebook, I put both the ERG for Android and the ERG for iPhone on those sites so people could download it. This is so you could have this document in your phone so you're prepared for something on the road. Okay, the 2020 Emergency Response Guidebook provides first responders with a go-to manual to help deal with hazmat transportation accidents during the critical first 30 minutes. DOT's goal is to place an ERG in every emergency vehicle nationwide. Members of the public, you can buy them, but the Department of Transportation created apps. So if you have an opportunity, download these into your phone. When I'm driving down the freeway and I see a placard I'm not familiar with, hopefully I'm the passenger, I go to my Android app and check to see what that item is. And that's the goal of this course, is for you to be able to do the same thing. Hopefully you're just using it as a game, a highway game, but someday you may come across a semi with a major leak. Carolyn, you have a question?
Yes, my question was about the white quadrant. Since it doesn't have a number, and
it has symbols and abbreviations.
Yeah, well, we're told anything above a 1 we're supposed to not enter. But what do you do if everything's 1 and it has something in the white quadrant? How do you respond to that?
Most of the white things would be a stop sign. If there's anything in the white, it would be a stop sign.
Anything in the white.
It's acids, it's alkalines, it's corrosives, it's radiological. All that is a no.
Right. So if it has to be blank then.
Yeah, it would be blank.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I tried a week ago to get people to download this. We'll take a quiz later for those who did download it, and we'll see who can successfully go through their ERG and tell us what the item is. Okay, white pages. Remember, there was white, yellow, blue, orange, and green. White pages. Here's a bunch of placards, and it kind of describes what they are. Of course, you got the orange ones, and they're color coded. So the Department of Transportation has categories. Category 1 is explosives. So you see a truck with a 1.4 or any of these, that's explosives. That catches on fire, there'll be projectiles going in multiple directions. So you definitely want to, know if there's an explosive. When I took hazmat training, they taught us how to memorize our DOT categories, and it was every good firefighter ought to receive cash money. E for explosive is every. G is gas. First fire is flammable liquids, flammable toxins, radiologicals, and miscellaneous. So that's how I've memorized my 9 DOT categories. And one is explosives, gases. And as you can see, there's non-flammable gas, but the hazard of non-flammable gas, if you break the tip of it, it's now a fast-moving projectile. So that's still hazardous. Flammable gas, gasoline, and then oxygen. So when it comes to gases, you actually have 3 different colors. So you can't go, oh, all, one color is one category. But you'll see at the bottom of the diamond, all of these have 2s. Flammable liquids. Again, we had a case at work where somebody had this chemical and we made it illegal in the 30s because it's a flammable solid if it has a certain amount of water in it. If it has less water, it becomes an explosive. So chemical solid to explosive, depending on how much water is in it. Flammable solids. And again, these are the placards. And you'll find these placards on vehicles. On a barrel or a box, you'll find a label. So you'll have, this could be on a label or this could be on a vehicle. On the vehicle, it's on 4 sides of the vehicle. As we said initially, DOT makes this for highway accidents. That's why they have this. Oxidizers. Oxidizers are nasty stuff. You see oxidizer, normally for the general evacuation distance for a hazmat spill is 300 yards. Then you reassess, before you even go to the book, you get 300 yards to make sure you're safe. And oxidizers would be much farther. Toxins, these are poisons. These are, 6.2, which 158 is 6.2. Those are biological, infectious waste. So really nasty stuff. Most hazmat's nasty stuff. 7 is radiological. And there's 3 levels of radiological, but you see radiological, if it's not contained, you want to get your distance and you want to be upwind, uphill because you don't want this on you. We had a barium spill at Lufthansa a few years ago, and 3 years later, our radiation pagers are still picking up the barium they weren't able to get out of the concrete. So this stuff lasts a long time. 8, corrosives. And again, corrosives are acids. And when you're going down the highway, you'll see a tanker with a black ring. I can see that from a mile. I know corrosives. It's gonna burn and decompose things. I make a point of getting around a corrosives truck as fast as I can. And miscellaneous. When they ship a car in an aircraft, they slap a miscellaneous. It doesn't have all the liquids it's supposed to have to run the car, but it has just enough liquids that it doesn't meet any of the standards, but it has enough to be miscellaneous. Okay, so you've got 2 standards. You got the UN and the NA. And we use a UNNA number, like the 1203 you see on the red diamond, that's gasoline. And what for North America, so we're North Americans. You'll see the number, which we use in the ERG to find out what it is. You got a symbol, hey, that looks flammable. And then you got a 3, and as we all learned, that's flammable liquid. So a category 3 is flammable liquid. Carol, you got a question?
Oh, is my hand still up?
Yeah, your hand's still up, but just, I like you. If you got a question, we'll go over it.
I can ask a question. Oxidizer, what exactly does an oxidizer do? It means if it's mixed with oxygen, it does?
I don't really know, because look at what's entering the United States and determine if it can be put on an aircraft. Most oxidizers cannot be put on passenger aircraft. They have to be on cargo aircraft. That's what I know about oxidizers. What it is, one of us is going to have to Google that.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. It's not, well, here we go with rail. On a rail, it has to be on 6 sides. And these are the different types of tankers. And if you pull out, I'm not sure what, page 19 of your ERG, you can look at and be fascinated with this kind of stuff. But what I get from these, some of these have a whole bunch of protection for the tank. The more protection, the nastier the stuff is. A gas tank, it's not that protected, but there are other things with, scabbarding around the opening to the tank, because whatever's, and then you've got these inner modules that have a roll bar on 360 sides of it to protect it, because whatever's in there is even nastier. Okay, yellow pages, as we discussed. We know that this item, placard 1185, it's ethylamine stabilized. And again, when it comes to hazmat, this book's only about 200 pages thick. The list of hazmat is over 3,500 individual chemicals that are considered hazmat. So they kind of generalize. So you look for the for number, and your goal is to find the guide number, because the guide number is the orange page. The orange page is 2 pages on that type of chemical and what you're supposed to do with it. So the guide page for ethylene dichloride is 131. So once finding that out, we'll go to 131 and find out what we should know. Of course, we've already got out what it is. Blue page. Blue page, you know the name of it. You either got it from the shipping papers, you got it from an SDS, it's your neighbor's, can of something, and you know what it is. With that, you go to the blue page, and flammable liquid, toxic, and corrosive. That'd be 131. And in here they have the orange pages. You see this page here? I love this stuff. What they did, whatever flammable liquid toxic is, because there's going to be maybe 100 or so chemicals that fit that description. They said it's a health hazard before it is a fire hazard, showing you the path to go. Below that is public safety. Again, protective clothing is the proper PPE. And the interesting thing about the ERG, even gasoline, they say you're supposed to have a self-contained breathing apparatus. So that tells us right there, volunteers, we are not going to respond because we have different evacuation distance for us. So we got primary information, protective clothing, evacuation, how to take care of this fire, proper first aid. A lot of the guides have the proper first aid as getting the person away from the material and having them breathe copious amounts of oxygen while waiting for 911. It would be the RG, the Android and the Apple version, because this is good stuff. It's something you download it once, it gets updated automatically, and you should be good to go. Is your hand up, Carolyn?
No, I put it down, didn't I?
Oh, no, it's still up. I just thought you might have a new question.
I put it down, you put it back up.
So the green page. Okay. So the green pages, as you see on this blue section, there are chemicals that are listed in green. This stuff is the truly nasty stuff. Chemicals are highlighted in green, and the blue or yellow pages are truly dangerous. Professional responders will set up an initial isolation. If you see the graphic below, that circle is the initial isolation zone. And then downwind or downhill is that cone shape, because that's the evacuation area. So this stuff will roll or float off. And what's interesting about the green pages is they say the evacuation distance at night or during the day, because when the sun heats it up, the chemical will float higher and be less of a threat to the public. At night, the air will push it down, and of course at night more houses are occupied, so the evacuation distance is longer at night. You get the green equals nasty stuff. Okay. Quiz. Okay. If you've got your ERG downloaded, you want to open it up and find the proper orange page in your ERG for 12. Caught on that? Next slide to show you how to do that. And Patrick has a quiz.
I just launched the
We'll
quiz.
see
I
if
don't know.
anybody
This is
gets
the
it.
first
This is
time we're
question
doing
1
this.
for the quiz.
But you should have either gotten a pop-up or you might have to click the polls button to access it.
Okay, so we got a UNNA of 1270. Let me know, Patrick, when we've waited long enough.
Some people are starting to answer at 10.
Do you want it put into chat or what do you want?
There's a polls button. You should be able to click the polls button, or it should have popped
Yeah,
up
I
a
got
poll.
that.
So go ahead and answer the poll. That's the quiz. So the first question 1 is, what ERP page is UN 1270 on?
In the orange page for 1270. As we can see in the graphic, it's a 3, so it's a flammable liquid.
All right, we'll give everybody about 30 more seconds to do this. If you can't download the app for your phone, well,
no page number on the Android app.
I use the Android app to write this quiz, so I'm not sure what you're seeing.
I'm not seeing the page number anywhere on the screen.
So when you run the
Okay,
app,
I'm going to do the page number in the next slide.
the app I'm using is ERG 2020, and I do search by name or UN, and I type in 1270, and that will bring me, so it will bring me 2 items. One, the name spelled out, the other one, name, comma, the last part of it. So it's 2 words. And then a guide, colon, and a page number on the right side. And that's what you're looking for.
Just says guide 128, doesn't say that's the page number, so it's the guide number.
That would refer to the page number if you're looking in the book, the physical book.
Get it? I just searched for 1270 and it popped up.
Yep.
I found it.
All right. So as people still do that, go ahead, Tom, continue on with the slides.
Here it is.
So the guide number refers to the page number in the book.
Are we supposed to say it out loud?
No, you're supposed to use the poll and
Just
answer the question.
answering the poll. Okay.
I wanted to too, Carolyn. I wanted to celebrate my finding it.
Somebody already did. Somebody already said what the answer
Oh,
is.
they did? Oh, nuts. I didn't hear it. Okay.
Neither did I.
Anyway.
All right, Tom, go ahead with your presentation, and then we'll get to the next question. Tom, did we lose Tom? I think his internet finally died on him. I'll give him a minute to get back in.
Can you hear me?
There you are.
Okay, sorry about that. So it's page 128. And you'll find the proper PPE, evacuation information, first aid, and other important information.
You're gonna
In
have
the
to
graphic,
reshare.
I just,
We lost
Okay.
your screen share.
that's not fun. Can you see it?
Not yet. There it is.
Okay.
All
So the question was 1270. You go to the yellow page because the yellow page has the UNNA on it. 1270 equals the guide page, or the orange page is 128. 128 tells us all kinds of stuff. I only shared the right-hand side of the page because there is a left-hand page which has first aid and other things. So 128, it's more of a flammable hazard than a health hazard. Public safety, call 911. You know, keep unauthorized personnel away, stay upwind, uphill, upstream, because sometimes it's in our water system. Ventilate space before entering, but only if properly trained and equipped. We're not properly trained or equipped. PPE contain breathing apparatus. So, quiz number 2. You've got a leak. And you to the safety data sheet. It says the chemical that is spilling is sulfuric acid, or you're going to correct orange. Go to your ERG and determine the proper evacuation distance for sulfuric acid using the ERG.
I found it.
Carolyn found it. Fantastic. Did you?
I found it.
Well, where's my share button? Okay.
You asked a question, Tom.
What is the proper screen? I'm sorry, what's the proper evacuation distance? This is not fun.
Precautionary. Oh, wait a minute. That's not what I.
About 150 feet.
Yeah,
Got it.
that's what I found.
Okay.
It says it.
So ferric acid is ERG page 137. And evacuation,
150 feet for liquids, 75 for solids, and if it's a tanker, then a half mile.
25 meters, 75 feet. And again, it changes.
You're losing your voice, Tom.
I apologize. I'm paying for 400 megs per second from the Spectrum, and I feel disappointed. So can you see my screen?
You're on Windows Explorer on the presentations page.
No.
I think you shared the wrong screen, maybe.
I had this all on. Yeah, I think it is. Let me try to share again. Apologize about my errors. Wish Patrick was here. He could make this happen. Oh, there we go. Okay. In my options, am I sharing too many pages?
We have no screen share from you.
It's still
I
your.
apologize.
It is
about
the
that.
screen share. It's just not the page you want.
It's still your Explorer window.
No.
Tom, go ahead and
Okay.
de-share, and then when you share again, it'll.
Okay, so it's down my. That's things I'm not sure on how to do. Let's how to de-share.
I think you have it now, though.
Now you're good. Don't do
Is
anything.
it new share or de-share?
I think
So
you're
stop
You want it.
share. What's that?
Go ahead.
You're good, Tom. You're showing.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Okay. So as we found out, it's on page 128. I'm sorry. 137. Okay. Depending whether it's a solid or a liquid, it has a greater distance. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So the next subject, that's the DOT. Anybody have any questions on how to properly use your DOT app on your phone? Like I said,
Yeah, I do.
when my wife's driving and we're driving down the highway.
Did you put that in chat so that we can copy and paste it?
What do you
What's the
want to put in
question?
chat?
The hyperlink?
Yes, please.
What? I have a question, Tom.
Here's how, sure. What's the question?
If you see a diamond on the side of a building and you have numbers, a 1, a 3, a 4, and a W with a line through it.
Correct.
How do you look that up? I mean, it's 3s and 4s and a W. How do you know what to look for?
No.
It's vague and it's really meant for firefighters.
Okay.
And all the time, those chemicals are contained. But when firefighters go into a structure to fight a fire, they now know kind of what's in there. Not exactly, but they kind of know. And again, they see certain numbers on the diamond, they're going to throw on their self-contained breathing apparatus and take the extra precautions because they have an idea what's in the structure. For us, you go to a Walmart and there may be a 3 or 4 on their diamond. You know, hey, a gas station probably has 4s as in flammability. So every day that those chemicals are intact. There's not a leak, it's not an incident. But when it becomes a fire or an incident, firefighters need to know kind of what they're coming across.
So bottom
make
line
sense?
for us is, no, if the bottom line for us is that if you see something over a 1, it doesn't matter what it is. We need to keep our distance and try and assess the situation a different way. The numbers simply guide us away from the building. The rest of this material is for firefighters.
Correct. And you want to be uphill, upwind, upstream.
That one.
Yeah, it's the
Exactly.
704 diamond is really for firefighters. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
And the CERT manual teaches anything over a 1, don't go in. So if you find a lightly damaged structure with a 2, you're not going in, but you can do a verbal evacuation. Request the people inside to come to your voice. That is totally appropriate. And hopefully you're upwind, uphill, or upstream. Make sense?
Yes, it
Patrick,
does.
do you
And
see
thank
any
you
other
so
hands up?
much.
Maureen has her hand up.
Okay.
Maureen, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Maureen.
Yes, sorry about that. This is sort of related. In my community, on our block, I live in the hillsides. We experience a lot of the blackouts, and so many of our neighbors have bought these generators that are propane fueled. And I was wondering, I don't recall any placards. Are placards required outside the house or on the gate? I live in Bel Air.
The requirement for placards is over 50 gallons.
Okay.
Because I actually tried to get a placard for my 5-gallon tank. They wouldn't give me one.
Okay.
But when you see a propane tank rolling down the freeway, it'll have a 1075 UNNA.
Okay. So
because
over
that's
50
more than 50 gallons.
Some of the houses in our neighborhood are 40,000 and 100,000 square feet. And I kind of think, I think they would probably have 50 gallons of propane handy. So
when I lived in North Carolina, we had 200 gallons.
We're just trying to tighten up our neighborhood, make it hardened, and it'd be nice to have placards for the firefighters to know that, oh, there's a propane tank fueling a generator on this property. And so anyway, that was my
I know
question.
Granger sells placards.
Pardon me?
Are you familiar with Granger?
Granger?
Granger sells placards.
Okay, that's a shop, a store.
GRAINGER. Yeah, they sell placards.
Okay, but there's no ordinance or anything like that required other than over 50 gallons, right? I just wanted to be clear.
And that's the transportation over 50 gallons.
Okay, LADO.
Because the Department of Transportation, it's the moving of the hazmat.
Okay. All right. I'll
stored
contact.
hazmat.
Okay, I'll contact our local fire department too, just because this is residential. Insert. We're block captains, and I just wanted to make sure that we know where the propane tanks are. Okay, thanks.
Antoinette has her hand up as well.
Do we have any more hands?
Antoinette has her hand up.
Hi, yes, for anybody in the area near me, Lancaster, Condale, they know me as Murray. Can you hear me?
Go ahead,
okay.
Antoinette.
For those in the Lancaster, Palmdale area, you guys know me as Murray. I was just gonna first say, Spectrum does fail sometimes. We have to have a booster right next to our modem, and then a booster in like every room in our house. And second, oh my gosh, forgot the second thing I was going to say. But yeah, there was a hazmat car fire. I live in a small little community, and right by the 14 freeway, I'm on the Roseman side, so headed into, Kern County. There's a little side street and some big truck decided he didn't want to, stay on the freeway for some odd reason and rolled and caught his truck on fire on our little side street that's like 6 houses away from me. So that was fun because nobody in my neighborhood, like there's like 4 or 5 of us that talk to each other, but there's like 60 houses, I think, total. And we're a very tight little community, like tight little, super closely packed. Like if 2 cars are parked on the street in a row, you can't get by. So I was like, hold on, wait a minute. Thank goodness we're kind of up the hill, but that's still extraordinarily close. And we smelt the burn in our houses for well past midnight, and the fire started at like 10 a.m. So yeah, that was not fun. And I wish people here in Rosemond were more cert ready than everybody is, because it can happen anywhere at any time, especially when you live next to major freeways with lots of big rigs rolling by with all sorts of everything, building material, hazmat material, cargo. It is constant. And then right on the other side of the freeway is the train track. So yeah, it gets pretty scary out here when there's accidents and they, call out car fire. And I'm like, wait, what kind of car? Because do I need to take my kids, like up into Tehachapi? It was horrible knowing that it was and they didn't even let like anybody know at first that there was a hazmat fire burning. And I'm like, wait a minute. Hey guys, you're supposed to, we're like less than 1,000 feet away from this. Come on. So that was not fun. And I'm kind of glad I recognized the symbols. I peeked over and yeah, I'm like, nope, get this inside, shutting all the doors, turning off the air, close the windows. You guys are gonna be stifled for a little bit, because I don't care that we're a little bit farther away. And
Antoinette, do you have a question?
Just what is the rate, like, because of that? Like, they didn't tell us that it was a hazmat fire until after the incident, instead of like letting us know during the incident, because we were so close to it. They didn't like tell anybody to like do anything. They just kind of let the fire burn right outside a neighborhood. So what is like I guess like is supposed to be
Tom, do you know if there's a requirement to tell people
if the driver's alive?
Yeah, the driver lived.
And that's again, she said she could smell it. If she could smell it, she's ingesting the chemical. I'm happy it wasn't a hazardous chemical, but if you're smelling it, you're being affected. And if it was truly nasty stuff, it could have shortened your life. So there's an ERG in every police car. When you have an incident, try to be uphill, upwind. Your house is downwind, it's maybe time to go drive a mile and protect yourself. Because if we have to rely on brand new police officers who don't know, then we could be putting our families at risk. So uphill, upwind, upstream. And again, if you can smell it, that means you're smelling the material. So you're lucky that night.
Yeah, I was just kind of a little annoyed that they didn't say anything to anybody, like let the neighborhood know. I mean, one of the houses, yes, you were uphill, but it's not that big of a hill, because we could see them.
Yeah, again, that would be for a liquid,
Okay.
You're definitely downwind if you smell it.
We're almost done with the presentation. Tom, can you continue?
Sure. Okay, we're done with the quiz. It was guide page 137. Okay, that got through the guide. So now we have a little bit more knowledge on if you see something, you'll get your distance, you'll figure out what it is, and that'll help the responders when they show up. chemicals in our area, warehouses full of chemicals, our highways are full of trucks transporting, dry cleaners, funeral homes. Like I said, Home Depot, Walmart, those places have almost every hazmat category in there. UPS and FedEx, because they carry such small amounts, but they still have hazmat. They don't have the placard because they have less than 50 gallons. And again, the more nasty the material, the smaller the amount that they would have the placard for. So, because you should do an assessment of your neighborhood to figure out, hey, if there's a big earthquake and that building gets, compromised, we need to know that keep off that street until we know better, until we can assess it from a distance. And when it comes to any hazard, shelter, or you've got time, distance, and I forgot the yes, but yeah, you've got you be around it as little time as possible. If you've got an N95, like our situation with our friend in Palmdale, an N95 might have protected them to a better degree. Was there a question? Okay. So, in summary, spill upwind. Report the spill without getting any closer to the incident. It's better to be a live witness than a dead responder. There are several ways to identify hazmat: the NFPA 704 diamond, the DOT ERG, safety data sheets. We've got a basic learning now of how to use the DOT ERG. And as always, follow the safety rules established by your cert, and personal safety comes first.
I think
Thank you very much.
One of the reasons
If
why
you
it's so important to actually know the ERG, know how to use the ERG, is because some chemicals are so dangerous that just using the rule of thumb, that is where you can cover it with your thumb, you're safe, it is not enough. You might still be within, a certain distance that this stuff is still lethal at. So that's why it's a good idea to have this ERG app, have the book in your car, so that if you see something spilling out on a flipped over vehicle, you quickly pull out your book and look at it and go, okay, I am way too close for this. I need to go and get out of here right now. And that's where that app is going to come in handy, and having that book and learning how to use it.
I have one question.
Sure.
Go ahead, Murray.
Okay, I'm putting my field operations guide to good use. How is this different from the app? Because they say that we can use this field guide out there when we're, in the field. And I have the app, but I am not familiar with the app right now, because I only have one phone right now.
Again, are we talking the state's CERT field operation guide?
Yeah, no, this is the one from LA Fire Department, the one that Iggy gave us.
Okay, basically it's almost the same thing as the one the state puts out.
Okay. And what about the app? What is the
I
app?
was putting the slide presentation together. There were only 5 slides on hazmat. All 3,500 chemicals. If you're intelligent, use it. You could almost find all 3,500 chemicals that are.
Okay. So actually, but this field guide is still good to use in the field, right?
In the ERG app.
The field
Yes.
the field guide
But
is
again, it covers.
Go ahead, Tom. The field guide is good for just an overview of everything that CERT teaches
Oh,
you.
okay. New
It-
volunteer.
It's something that you can quickly reference and covers a bunch of topics. The ERG is a specialized guide for hazardous materials. And you can see by the thickness of it, if you have a physical copy, how many hazardous materials there are. And they come out every 2 years, and they always add more things, and the book gets bigger and bigger every 4 years. So that's why, you might, and they're not going to tell you they're transporting extremely hazardous materials through your city, through your neighborhood, on the freeways, on the road, and suddenly you come across a flipped over vehicle and there's a bunch of bodies there. Already know it's bad. You just don't know how bad it is. The field operation guide is not going to tell you how bad it is. The ERG will tell you how bad it is. And you might need to, be telling everybody to move far and far and keep going. In fact, just keep running. That might be what you need to tell them when you look up that number.
Okay. Thank
Judy.
you.
This app on the phones, it is Wi-Fi dependent, I assume, that is doing a search of the website contents.
No,
Is
I
that
think
correct?
I think it's a standalone database, so you can go into airplane mode and use it without internet.
Oh, okay, because it took about a second to download it. And I would have thought with that much material, we should probably double check that before we say you can use it in a disaster. Just because if that search function is not working, then we ought to have physical copies in our community boxes.
On that subject, I've got a case of ERGs.
Okay,
because
I want one.
I'm a first
Count me in
responder
too.
at work.
What?
So I'm going to give him Patrick.
Can I
You
get
show
one?
up to his drills. Does that make up to his drills? I think there's 40 in a case.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Tom.
So we're going to promote the neighborhood team pop-up drills. We're going to promote learning your ERGs. I'm going to get Patrick a case of them.
Can I get one, Tom?
Sure.
I just downloaded on my files, so it was hard for
Yeah,
me.
so if you got the app is good.
Okay.
Having the paper one. So if you're driving and your wife can't figure out the app, you've got one in the glove box, tell her, how to get to the orange page. She can take care of you. Or,
Perfect.
tell you to go another direction.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
Yeah, the advantage of the app is that you can do a search and it'll pop right up for you, tell you exactly where something is.
Judy, you have a question?
That's the previous question. I will take it down now.
Carol.
I was just saying the advantage of using the app is that you can do a search.
Carol with an E.
Hi, I was just popping on to, it's not exactly a question, but I think where this also becomes valuable is in our communities. There's people that use things like oxygen, they're on hospice care, or they just need it in general, things like that. And it's not always signed and on their property, but it's an important thing to encourage. I know I was in a situation where it was being used and we posted it on the doors and entries. That's an important thing to know, because if there is a disaster, that's the kind of thing when you're going from house to house in your neighborhood. It's important to know.
Going back to the neighborhood team plan, when you're developing your block, you're actually asking your neighbors these sort of questions. You're getting to know the 20 households around you. And, some of our neighbors are on oxygen. Some of our neighbors have skills we could use. Doing a block assessment is very important. So you don't have to do it after the disaster, you do it before the disaster.
Mike and Angela. Mike and Angela, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, Patrick. Thank you. So I have a question. Earlier in the presentation, there was a statement about, and hopefully I got it right, that in a hazmat evacuation, the minimum is 300 yards. Is that correct?
Correct. That's a standard. Basically, you go 300 yards, then you open the book and make sure that you've gone far enough. So 300 yards is the template for any hazmat, is 300 yards.
So thank you for that. So in the quiz, the evacuation distance was less than that. Can you please clarify why?
It wasn't as nasty, because again, they're averaging. So some things will be less, some things will be more. But 300 is the average, and then you assess to see what it is, because you want to get away from it. If it's incapacitated somebody keep on going until then you find out.
Good. Thank you for that clarification.
Any other questions?
Oh, I have my email address on this. So if you want a copy of the slides, I can email it to you so you can, well, maybe learn something I didn't cover properly.
Can you please read the email? It's a little small on the screen.
Sorry. LAFDCERTBATT2, that's the number 2, @gmail.com. And Patrick and I were discussing on my way home, the next time we teach this, we'll talk about decon, how to decontaminate. A brief discussion on decontamination.
Lots of cold water.
Not necessarily.
There's physical. Again, if your clothes are soaked in it, it might be better just to take the clothes off, then soak you, because you could be flushing more of the chemical on yourself. Certain chemicals you want to do a physical decon before you do copious amounts of water.
And some chemicals are dry and actually react with water. So by putting water on one of those chemicals, like if you were covered in granulated bleach, like a detergent, putting water on that would actually cause the chemical to react.
Activate it.
Yeah, activate the chemical. So you would want to brush it off with a dry brush. Get it off of you. Get as much of it off of you as possible. And that's what the ERG. Why you want to look up in the ERG to see what it is, and then find out the correct method of getting it off of you and away from it.
I went to an MCI hazmat drill at Centinela Hospital. And what they did was they had everybody strip. Then they had the Inglewood Fire Department use copious amounts of water to wash them off. And then there was the process to make somebody who's been through hazmat be able to go into the hospital. And there was multiple stages in their decon.
All right. Any other questions for Tom?
No more hand.
All right.
Patrick, excuse me.
Yeah, Johnny, go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to, when I graduated from Search back in 2019, we all got a little manual for the guide. Remember that little manual book? When everybody graduates, aren't they supposed to have their little manual? It's like our Bible.
Well, I mean, it's a handy reference guide.
But that's a good one to have. That's a very good guide. I don't know if they still have them, but that's a very good guide. That's like our Bible. You can get everything off right there, that little hand manual. Everything's right there. Everything's right there. I just wanted to.
But this topic is on hazmat and using the ERG, which is not in the guide, in the CERT manual.
Oh, I was not aware of that. Okay, okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, in the CERT manual, there's only 5 pages.
On hazmat.
May I just,
Yeah, there's five slides on hazmat.
hi, this is Sally. I just want to thank Tom for doing an excellent job. This was so informative and detailed. Just want to thank you.
No problem.
So
I'm gonna talk to
next
Spectrum
month,
about my
December,
internet.
we are doing the topic on triage, medical triage. It's going to be our Battalion 5 coordinator, Jackie Kozak, who will be teaching it. Additionally, we are putting on monthly pop-up drills throughout the city. These are under the neighborhood team program, community hosted. We just did a drill in Venice at Penmore Park, and we had about 20 participants. That drill, we focused on organizing a staging area and deploying out damage assessment teams, communicating using radios. And we were able to successfully have our teams follow damage assessment route and relay back and get tracked by the staging area using the two-way radios. Next month, we're looking at doing it in Battalion 2, Northeast Los Angeles. And the topic is going to be on incident response teams. That will be, you've already had an incident radioed in, you're part of a 7-person team, you're going out, getting deployed by the staging area, and now you have to deal with that incident, and your radio communicator is going to be communicating with staging, letting them know what's going on, and you and your team will be figuring out how to deal with the incident and stabilize it and bring it to a conclusion, whatever that particular incident needs to be done. We don't have a date or location yet, but if you sign up on our website at, and I'll put it in the post here, if you have it in the chat, if you sign up at join.ntp-la.org, that's join.n as in neighborhood, T as in team, P as in program, -LA as in Los Angeles.org. You'll find out all of the trainings that we're putting on, all of the events, and we'll let you know as soon as we get that scheduled. All right, I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. The next training will be on the 3rd Wednesday of December. That is going to be, Tom, go ahead and de-share. Stop your sharing. 3rd Wednesday of December is December 15th. And as soon as we get it scheduled, you can go ahead and sign up on the Eventbrite for that as well. If you just want to visit our website, you can go to calendar.ntp-la.org. It'll give you a list of all the radio trainings and radio nets as well. And when we have, when we get our Eventbrites up, they'll be up at training.ntp-la.org. And you can sign up for those events directly from there. All right, everyone have a good night. Thank you everybody for coming.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Pat. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Glad you were able to make it, Dennis.
I'd like to continue from now on with you guys. Just let me know.
Yeah, if you sign up at that NTP website, join.ntp-la.org, you'll get our email.
Yeah, well, I got your email this time.
Oh,
I don't know. Yeah, I got your email this time, and it was that's why I'm here. I didn't know this was going on, but this is very informative, and